Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on this Sunday morning on Good for the Game TV and this preview of the singles matches taking place at the Ryder Cup at Le Golf National in France later today. Action gets going about 12:05 South African time, and I must say we've got a great afternoon of golf watching ahead. It really has been a cracking tournament to date. Perhaps just a quick word on the course itself, which to me is absolutely perfect. I wish all golf courses were made this way. It's a real risk and reward course. If you hit the fairways, you can go low, but there's danger lurking all over the place if you miss the fairways or miss the greens. And it really has made for some thrilling action. It has, as anticipated in the original preview, suited the Europeans more than the Americans. And going into the final day's action, we've got the Europeans in a very strong lead, and I'm just going to share my screen now as we get into the betting. The Europeans have got a nice strong lead at 10-6 at the moment. So not surprisingly, and we'll go on to the World Sports betting website here, they're very short now, Europe, to win the cup. At 1-6, you can get 8-1 the USA and 12-1 the Thai. We can see that WSB have still got a range of markets here that you can play on, but of course the focus today is going to be on the singles. Just to mention from a long-term point of view, a little bit disappointed in the singles draw because I'm quite big on Tommy Fleetwood, top European, and also Justin Thomas, top American, as those who watched our original preview will know. In fact, I even took a double between the two, a 50-1 double, that they come out on top. And as it's happened this week, they've both done very well, but they've been paired with, in Thomas's case, Justin Spieth, and in Fleetwood's case, Molinari. And all of them have got the same amount of points heading into this. So you'll see here, top USA point score is a two-horse race between Spieth and Thomas, with Spieth the favourite. And you've got a similar situation, in fact, an identical situation in the European race. And the reason for that is Molinari and Spieth, on the face of it at any rate, have got much easier draws than Fleetwood and Thomas. So a little bit unlucky, I think, from that perspective, is we might fall short or do no better than dead heats there. But let's see, this is Ryder Cup singles. You never really know what happens at the end of the day. Let's get straight into the action, and I'm going to go on to the draw no bet option here. So you can get, I'll quickly take you back to show you the difference in the prices, I guess. You can back where the tie is in play. So here, for example, we got Rose 8-10, 13-2 the tie, and 17-10 Simpson. And if we have a look here at the same match, we've got Rose 6-10, Simpson 13-10. So that takes the tie out of play. I want to take the tie out of play today in these multiples. One of the reasons is if the Ryder Cup does get settled early, you do sometimes see matches finished early as well, and we may get a few more ties towards the back end. It's not necessarily the way I'm expecting it to go, though, as I will point out later, but that is the way I'm going to structure my bets. I just want to take the tie out of the equation. If it is a tie, then it's a no bet, and my other legs will still count. So let's go through all the matches, and as I go through, I'm going to structure, let's say, a big multiple, and let's see what odds that comes out at. I haven't worked it out fully yet, so we'll do it as we go along. And first up, we've got two of the big guns going up. Rory McIlroy. Everyone initially thought he would go against Patrick Reed, but Reed's had a really poor tournament. I've got to say McIlroy hasn't been great either, and he faces Justin Thomas, who for my money has got stronger and stronger as the tournament progressed. He's got 3 out of a possible 4 points. I did feel in the early stages of the tournament that Spieth was carrying him just a little bit, but I really do think he's played some great golf, particularly on Saturday. And Rory, even money, Thomas 8-10. Guys, I've got to say, obviously I'm invested in Thomas long term, so I'm pulling for him, but trying to just even take that aside, I think Thomas could be a good bet against McIlroy. Yes, McIlroy is a great Ryder Cup player. He thrives on this, but this is a very unforgiving course, and McIlroy's game is just not all there at the moment. And I think Thomas can get the US off to an excellent start. So let's put him in as the first leg of the bet. Paul Casey up against Brooks Koepka. Now, to me, Casey's been one of the unlucky players in this tournament. Unlucky in that he hasn't had a lot of game time, because I thought he has been absolutely excellent. And he was delighted and very emotional to get a point yesterday in the morning's 4 balls. He's been sat out of both foursome sessions, and as it worked out on the first day, Europe won the foursomes 4-0, so you can't query the skipper on that. But I do think he's been unlucky, as I think he's been one of the best European players. And he's playing against Brooks Koepka, who hasn't been at his best, played some good golf, but he's been a bit wayward off the tee, which you cannot afford on this course. And I actually like Casey here at even money to put the first European point on the board for the day. Just bear in mind, Europe need 4.5 points in order to secure the Ryder Cup. The US, of course, need to get to 14 points. So they need 8 points in order to retain the trophy. Justin Rose up against Webb Simpson. If I thought Casey was unlucky, I'd have to put Simpson in the same mold. He's really played well this week. He almost seems to have been a bit ignored by Captain Jim Furyk, who I personally think has had a bit of a nightmare. And he's playing against Justin Rose, who's played some good golf, but who I don't believe is at his best. You know, he faded in the Tour Championship a bit, probably the pressure of the FedEx Cup, which he won. And I do get the feeling that the amount of golf he's played lately is starting to take its toll on him. I make Webb Simpson quite an attractive play here at 13 to 10 in the Tyno bet option. So I'm adding Simpson in there. And just to have a look down here, you can see already our odds of these three arriving are 7.28 to 1. I'm going to make a note of that because that is one of the early treble that I want to play. I like to separate my bets a bit for a couple of reasons, and one of which is that in the middle section there's nothing that I fancy terribly much. But let's keep that in for the big play of the day, the big odds play. Jon Rahm against Tiger Woods, two players who are both struggling. Woods just has looked, he hasn't actually played that badly, but he just hasn't, I don't know if it's a question of not being that interested, or if he is struggling a little bit with fatigue, but he just hasn't looked to be on his game this week. He has had some partners, particularly Patrick Reed, who's struggled. And Jon Rahm, you can see mentally he's there. He really wants to contribute, but his game is just off at the moment. I would say this is a dangerous game to get involved in. If anything, I would be leaning towards Woods at 8 to 10. He does have a good singles record in the Ryder Cup, but I'm going to leave this one out of the multiple. And then we move to Tommy Fleetwood against Tony Finau. Well, Fleetwood's been absolutely amazing, and he is favourite to beat Finau. But I must say, Finau has been one of the players who's impressed me. He's missed a couple of short putts, but his long game has been very, very good. And if he can keep it on the fairway, he's going to be a tough nut for Fleetwood to crack. And this is one of the reasons why I'm disappointed from my long-term betting point of view. If pushed, I'd still say that Fleetwood's playing well enough, and he's in the Ryder Cup spirit. He may well win this. I've gone through and sort of try to select all 12 games to see where I think the final score is going to come in. And I would still give this to Fleetwood, but for now, definitely a big runner, not one for my multiple. Ian Poulter against Dustin Johnson. Well, Poulter, he certainly showed signs over the last couple of days of why he's known as such a great match play exponent. But I just don't feel his game is quite there at the moment. He certainly can still hold those clutch putts under pressure, but he isn't quite there. But then again, he's playing Dustin Johnson, who's also been inconsistent. He's missed a number of short putts. And when he does go a bit wild off the tee on a course like this, well, he gets himself into some terrible situations. I won't argue with the betting, though. I think Johnson is a worthy favourite here, but I don't have enough confidence in either of these men to stick them into my multiple, although I am ticking this one off as a point for the US. Right, let's move on to the next game. And it's Olesen against Jordan Spieth. Now, Olesen, he's only played the one match, and he played with McIlroy in the 4 balls on Friday morning. A bit of a surprise selection, and they lost. And since then he's been benched, and I do feel that this is a bit harsh from Bjorn, because I actually thought he was better than Rory McIlroy, and he was carrying McIlroy a bit that day. He did start off poorly. He drove it into the water, as I recall, on the first. But after that, I thought he played some good golf, and I don't think Olesen is without a chance against Jordan Spieth, who doesn't have the best Ryder Cup singles record, and may well be feeling the effects of 4 consecutive rounds. At the end of the day, though, I'm not going to argue with the betting here. Spieth has been playing some excellent golf. His putt has been on fire. He's really enjoyed the pace of these greens. And I would have to tick this one off to America. But I do think that there could be a bit of value in Olesen. And from a long-term perspective, I'm holding out hope that Olesen can, in fact, go out and beat Jordan Spieth. That takes us to Sergio Garcia against Ricky Fowler. Very interesting game. Sergio has certainly justified his selection in the team. He's played really well. He was a bit disappointing, him and Noren yesterday, in losing in the foursomes. Play against Ricky Fowler, who's pretty much been paired with Dustin Johnson for all of his matches. And I felt that Fowler, while a bit wayward at times on this course, and it stands out because you tend to find the water, has generally been better than Dustin Johnson. And I give him a strong chance of beating Sergio at 17 to 20. At the end of the day, I'm reluctant to take Sergio on in the Ryder Cup singles. So once again, this is not bets that are going into my multiples. Just having a look at my list here, I have put this one down as a potential US win. Francesco Molinari v. Phil Mickelson. Well, the biggest outsider of the day is Phil Mickelson. Captain's pick. Furyk, what were you doing? This is not, of course, it suits Phil Mickelson, even in his prime. but it certainly doesn't suit him in his current form, which is not very good. Francesco Molinari, well, he's played absolutely brilliantly. The partnership with Fleetwood has been amazing. I wouldn't be taking the 4-10 simply because this is the Ryder Cup, and who knows, arrested Phil Mickelson, perhaps he spent a bit of time on the range, will come out, and perhaps Molinari will start struggling. But yeah, for me, you have to chalk this one up as a European point, but I'm not going to put the 4-10 in the multiple. You're probably wondering where the next leg of the multiple is going to come, and here it is. Tyrrell Hatton against Patrick Reed. Hatton hasn't been brilliant, but he has showed himself up to be a guy who clearly enjoys the Ryder Cup, and he hasn't played badly at all. He formed quite a good partnership with Casey, I think it was, and he hasn't done badly at all. And Patrick Reed, who was of course the star of the 2016 Ryder Cup, well, he's been all over the place, Reed, and I can't have him, not with the way he's driving the ball. I think that Hatton at 17-20 rates the next bet to pop into the multiple here. And I've had a look around and haven't seen it. At the start of the tournament, there was a betting on who would sink the winning putt, and I think it could come down as far as someone like Tyrrell Hatton. I'd like to know what price you could get on him now. But let's have a look. Our multiple now sitting at just over 14-1. See if we can find another couple of legs to stick in. Right, moving on, we've got Henrik Stenson against Bubba Watson. This is my big, if I was going to place a big single bet today, which I'm not going to, I've had an excellent Ryder Cup. I've got the long terms running. My big bet of Thomas to score 3 points or more has arrived already. Just to take you to the Good for the Game forum yesterday, where if we skim a bit down, we will be paid. People post their bets each day, and I'm sure we'll get quite a few singles bets posted as well. But I have to, I guess, share this one. This was my thread yesterday morning, where I picked all four, a nice 10-1 multiple, all four of the four balls matches, and a nice big 3-1 double there, Molinari and Fleetwood to win, and Thomas and Spieth to win their four balls yesterday morning. And then the 3-1 scoreline also at 5-1. So that was a good result for me, and I certainly don't want to give it all back by going in with any big bets today. But Stenson at 6-10, I would say he rates pretty close to a banker, although Bubba Watson hasn't been that bad and certainly did very well in the foursomes yesterday. So I'm gonna stick Stenson into the multiple. And let's have a look at the last game. Alex Noren v Bryson DeChambeau. Now, I think Bryson has been incredibly unlucky. He's sort of was paired yesterday at one point with an off-form Woods. He's been putting very well. The putts just haven't been dropping. And you've got Alex Noren, who looked very good on Friday, but not so impressive yesterday when him and Garcia went down in the foursomes. I think maybe he's feeling a bit hard done by not getting any four-ball action as well. He does have an excellent match play record, but I'm going to go for the American here. There's a good chance, of course, that this game doesn't really end up going down to the wire. But I think DeChambeau, I've actually been fairly impressed with him, and I think he's well suited to the course, as of course is Noren, who won here earlier this year. But I'm going to go with the American there at 9-10. So let's just scan up a little bit and just see what that multiple works out to. That's 45-1. So I'm going to be taking that 45-1 multiple, and we'll just skim through and see which games it covers again. We've got, starting from the back, we've got DeChambeau to win, Stenson to win, Hatton to win, Simpson to win, Casey to win, and Thomas to win. Now, I also worked out a 7.28-1 treble, and that was Thomas, Casey, and Rose. So I'm going to just take those out quickly, because the next bet I want to take is the treble, and that is DeChambeau, Stenson, and Hatton, and that works out at 4.62-1. So I'll be having a little bit of a bigger interest on the two trebles than I will on the single 45-1 bet. And I guess my main bet of the day, if I had to have a big strike, would be Henrik Stenson. Just to finish off, let's just have a look at the quick look at the betting. What am I looking for? I'm looking for day 3 correct score. I've gone through and I've put little crosses and ticks next to who I think is going to win today. I think that the USA, for me, 7-5, they could win this, and that's 17-2, which is a pretty tasty price. Obviously, we won't be getting too involved. It's very speculative. If they do win 7-5, then we could be in for quite a thrilling afternoon. And I do think that the singles draw favors the US somewhat. So really looking forward to that. It's going to be a great day's golf action. I've also got cycling to look forward to today. I've also got a number of commitments to the children, and if I look like I've spent the weekend lying on the couch and doing nothing else but watching sport, It's a true reflection. It's been quite a weekend. And for some reason, I'm exhausted. Probably goes something down to trying to get up for the New Zealand-Argentina game in the night, although I did end up falling asleep in that one. But what a great weekend of sport. Let's hope that the Ryder Cup lives up to expectations later today, and certainly pulling for some of my long terms as well. Thanks for watching this preview. Remember, you can subscribe to our videos down below, and don't miss our weekly shows, including our flagship rugby betting show, The Handicap. Every Thursday night, we go out live at 9 o'clock.